Sagittarius, this is your November 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then this might resonate for you for the month ahead. Happy solar returns for those of you that have birthdays this month. It's Romy. Thanks so much for tuning in, joining me on the channel this month. So we're going to open up November with the energy of the Ace of Cups. This is a game-changing month for you, Sagittarius. And you are going to find your stride, and there's a sense of being able to make up for lost time. And I think the last few weeks have certainly shown you what's important, and it now feels like you are resting and rising into your worthiness. We're going to welcome Saturn going direct in Pisces, 0 degrees on the 4th of the month, and Saturn says, what did you learn? And what we're seeing with the Ace of Cups is that, part of the lesson, especially with the Venus retrograde as well for you, was really being able to put yourself first and making sure that you were taking care of your needs, wants and desires. And, this is a time of sort of harvesting the lessons learnt and the work that you've put in. But the key word around that is consistency, because where you've been consistent with yourself, you are really going to see the results starting to flow in a really beautiful way through November. If things still feel a little off course, then again, it's an opportunity to sort of revisit that consistency and to remember everything that you've been through and what it was showing you and what you learned about yourself. And, Venus coming into Libra is going to be a really harmonious transit on the 8th of the month to be working with, to restore an awful lot of good faith and good energy around some of the important connections in your world, and perhaps even feeling like you have the opportunity for a fresh start or to explore something new. Now in Scorpio season, we want to get to the root of it. We want to get to the heart of it. And, there is this sense of you kind of being willing to kind of take a gamble, if you like. Things are going to feel like they can turn on a dime in November. And it's not that you're being flippant, but I think there is this realization because of this renewed sense of priorities in your life, and also the kind of, I don't want to waste any more time. This is what's important for me. So, that in itself sort of brings about this boldness within you. And, we also have Mercury coming into your sign on the 9th of the month. And again, just helping you to be able to communicate, what it is that you're feeling and expressing yourself in a way that, I think really helps people to understand where you're coming from, and actually heralds quite a powerful time of you being able to sort of make peace. Now, even if you feel that something or someone is missing, being able to sort of come into a place of acceptance around that, because destiny wants you moving forward, and there is this need to kind of wrap things up and just give yourself permission to kind of get back out there, or to see what else there is to explore and to invest your energy in through November. And as we said, there's this feeling of you being able to make up for lost time. So if you have been incredibly distracted because of particular situations, you will find that November just feels fresher, more vibrant, and, more able to kind of give you what you need to sort of make the type of progress that you'd expected and you were looking for. We need to remember, Sagittarius, life can be hard enough on us. So this is not a reason for you to be hard on yourself. You have to come in with this energy of being more compassionate, more tolerant, more patient with yourself. And again, I feel that Ace of Cups is bringing about that nurturing that we need. The other thing I want to say is that, as we approach the 11/11 portal, of course, on the 11th of the month, you're feeling something shifting, something significant. This is where I get this kind of game-changing energy. News is on its way. It may arrive, around that time, or certainly through the course of the next few weeks and before the end of the year. Now, that 11/11 portal has a Mars opposite Uranus conversation playing out. And there's a sort of feeling of almost like things being surprising, and there's almost like a love to shock with that kind of a conversation. This is a month where it's like a portal of awakening. There's also an incredibly galactic feel as Mars and Uranus kind of have this tension that's building. And so as you're working with your manifestations and you're harnessing and leveraging that 1111 portal to really help elevate and, become more enlightened in your path moving forward, I think you can have some incredible breakthroughs and really feel into some frequencies that are going to feel quite new to you, even though they, have been working and supporting you for some time. The King of Wands is bringing great vision in and around this. So it's not also just about what you want for yourself, but it's about working with that 1111 portal and really considering, what do I also want for the collective? What do I want for New Earth? This is also a time to kind of help create those timelines that we want to see, so that we don't get veered off into experiences that, we can all see looming on the horizon to a certain degree, and is not really, in our highest good in any way. Please check out my 1111 energy activation. And this month I've also created a Dragons in the Light transmission for you. Dragon energy is going to come through very strongly around that 1111 portal and be really supporting and guiding you through November, but really in your pathway, like moving forward. And it's a beautiful journey to explore and just really connect in, through these dimensional energies to see how these guides are supporting you. Now, the King of Wands also tells me that, some of the choices that you're making are going to be big choices. You will have to think fast and think on your feet. I think you might surprise yourself in terms of how decisive you'll be through the course of November, given certain circumstances and kind of what's being presented to you. Perhaps where there's been some uncertainty or confusion or, hesitation. November seems to kind of clear a lot of that out. And, there's almost this readiness from you to sort of make your mark or, again, kind of push forward with some of the intentions that have been building within you for the last few weeks. Now, as this is going on, there's like a sort of subtext, a kind of, secondary storyline that I feel is, worth noting for you this month, because they keep giving me this sense of like there being like a revolving door with people. And that kind of bring about sort of an inconsistency in terms of their behavior. What you're being asked to do is almost to try to find a way to be a little bit unattached as to who's coming and who's going, because it just feels if you try to sort of put your faith or kind of believe that you can be secure in a certain commitment, it's still kind of going through a little bit of a flux period for you through the course of this month. And the reason that I think, they're highlighting it and it's important is, there's a lot going on for you about your vision, about, what you're doing in order to kind of position yourself in certain places and, really support the growth and kind of harness and pull in some of the future plans and actually have the confidence to kind of go after some of these things. Sometimes when our life needs to be reordered in quite a significant way and the energy needs to kind of get churned up and moved up a little bit, some of the people that we are connected to and that really sort of are part of our day-to-day experience, also need to be on that same vibration, need to be on that same frequency. It seems to me that there are some people that are perhaps meant to be on your path, but they're not quite where they need to be. So there is this sense of spirit kind of pulling them out and, work getting done and them coming back. But it's difficult for you at this moment in time to kind of really make the true assumption or judgment as to kind of who's in and who's out. So through the month of November, I want you to be very focused on, where you're at and what it is that you need to keep moving forward, and not to be concerned or feel let down or kind of panic, in terms of some of the ways in which people are sort of coming and going, right? Because that's going to settle down and then it will make sense to you in terms of sort of who sort of steps up. And, I think there will be almost a feeling a little bit like, oh my goodness, it's 11th hour, but it works out at the 11th hour. So your trust might be tested in some way in regards to some of the connections in your world. Now we're going to have the new moon come in on the 13th of the month at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And we have another opposition with Uranus here. So, this kind of erratic, slightly unpredictable behavior is being sort of amplified from the 11:11 portal and through that new moon. This time the sun is opposite Uranus, and it does create somewhat of a tug of war. These competing ideas and forces creating somewhat of a sense of disharmony. So we've got Five of Swords coming in and around that sort of new moon time for you. This is why I'm saying it's important to be a little bit unattached and sort of let them do them and you do you, and that's going to make it much easier to sort of navigate anything that feels like a setback, which truly isn't. It's just almost this kind of conflict and this opposing forces that sort of is just having to kind of work itself through. Part of this will also be affording you the opportunity to kind of really be awakened to something. And that's going to be important because, again, it sort of tracks back to, what Saturn is laying out for you as well. It's like, what did you learn? And now we're getting these truth bombs landing and certain situations happening, and your opportunity to come forth with a different emotional response is going to be incredibly important around that new moon. It's a reset and a rebirth time for you. And, even though you may feel like you're taking a gamble and you're worried about something not paying off or ending up, in the same type of a outcome as what you've been through before, and perhaps there's some, residual resentment or, struggle around that. But I do feel that, November for you is a game changer. As we come out of that new moon in Scorpio, and you will feel like clarified around that time, because I do think we get to the heart and the root of something. You see, all these swords are kind of coming right into the center of the heart. So even though through perhaps slight disharmony or discomfort, something is realized and understood that is incredibly beneficial for you, okay? Now, we make our way toward the 17th, which I just want to highlight as being like a particularly auspicious day. We have a bunch of kind of astrological aspects that are combining to make this a day where inspiration flows, things feel more harmonious, there's just that energy to take a really important action, okay, and actually feel like you've got the freedom to change something about yourself, about your life, and this is kind of really delivering you that much needed sort of validation of like, oh, this is working, my plan is working, the strategy is working, like things are coming together in a way that perhaps I've been waiting for some time. And, again, perhaps partly connected to these bigger choices that we see you having to make through the course of November. On the 19th, Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess, shifts into Scorpio, and, we're offered incredible insight. And remember, Pallas Athena helps us with strategy and with our plans. We uncover and we discover, but sometimes we have to be a bit ruthless and relentless in terms of, really being on that quest for the truth and getting to the heart of things. The Seven of Pentacles also sort of ties in not only with the strategy and the harvest, but takes me back to that level of consistency, because where we've done the work, this is where we have to expect and be open to receive what's coming back around for us. And it's really easy to get caught up in a storyline that says, well, it's just not going to work, or it hasn't worked. And, get really super down on yourself. And yet there's something coming in here. And as I said, it could feel like the 11th hour. It could feel like, it's too late. Like I literally hear you saying, it's not going to happen. It's too late. And then we have something materializing for you. Pallas in Scorpio feels like she's going to help your focus, precision-like focus, to kind of not lose the mindset that you need and to keep open to sort of infinite possibilities. And, as we then come into Sun in Sagittarius from the 22nd, your solar returns, you get this cosmic boost, and you can see all these horses kind of flying. So it just feels like it's kind of a nod to your sign here. And something coming to fruition, an opportunity, an offer, a really critical conversation or meeting coming in. So, that second sort of half of November really ramping up in terms of energy. And of course, then we have Mars coming into your sign on the 24th. We also have asteroid goddess Ceres coming into your sign. And so the space that's given to you then sort of toward the end of the month to go explore and feel like you are freer to roam and kind of tend to your own garden in the way that you want to, as Ceres sort of brings through, will be incredibly beneficial. And I do think you'll have that sort of boost that naturally you should feel at this time of the year, but also just really starting to see things in a new way, in a new light, and that some of the gambles that you've made kind of paying off. Now we have our full moon this month in the sign of Gemini coming in on the 27th at 5 degrees, and it's opposing Mars. So again, we're feeling challenged. I mean, there is this kind of, undertone of being challenged through the course of this month, and that coming with some disruption and unexpectedness. You may feel you have to defend or justify. You might feel a little bit unsettled. That said, I think the conversations that happen seem to still be incredibly fruitful around that time. And it's almost like you have to make peace. Perhaps you feel your hand is forced somewhat, but I think it'll still work in your favor, to kind of accept that something is going to be not necessarily fully resolved, or that there are two sides to something and we have to find a middle ground. But the shape-shifting nature of Gemini and of your sign, you have that mutability. And of course, Gemini being in your 7th house may, in fact, reveal that this is something that's going to unfold in regards to one of the closest sort of intimate relationships in your world. But it also highlights something you've been working on from the shadow all the way, since June, really, since we had that full moon in your sign. And so, something that you have really been trying to address within yourself, also coming to a point of conclusion through the course of that sort of full moon energy. So again, I feel you being quite satisfied, even though you feel perhaps a little bit challenged or up against it. It's almost like just like it brings out the best in terms of what you really think or what you feel, or you're able to clarify something for yourself. Now, if you're new to the channel, Sagittarius, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended version of the reading. I talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll go deeper into this particular month, and we'll also look at a personal question and a relationship card for you. So you can find the link for that in the comment and description box underneath. And before we get there, I'm just going to clarify these cards to give us some insight as to the direction we'll be taking for this month. Now, I do want to highlight to you, November is the month of the year where I put out all my seasonal offers. So if you have had your eye on my sacred titles, my book, my deck, the goddess and angel reports that I do, and also if you're familiar with the very limited edition guide and gift readings that I offer, I love that, Emperor and Empress coming in. The guide and the gift readings, which are personal, one-to-one recorded readings, have a very limited number of those that I'll be offering out in November as well. So stay tuned on my socials, on my website, so that you can take advantage of these offers. They will only run through November. Okay, Knight of Wands, Page of Cups. I really like how sort of willing I see, the energy showing up for you this month. It just feels like there's a willingness to move forward. There's a willingness to explore, to be curious. Another King of Wands there, beautiful. And I think this just kind of serves you in such a refreshing way, especially after the intensity of October. You might still be dealing with some of the fallout from that. We've got the Well here. What else have we got? Queen of Cups, so some of the issues around that 5 of Swords perhaps pertaining to a water energy. The Artist, another Ace of Cups, lovely, and the Star. Okay, that's beautiful. Now, if you are interested, all the decks I use are always listed in the comment and description box underneath, okay, so please be sure to have a look. You'll also find the links, of course, for the 1111 portal activation and this month's journey to connect with the dragon energy. Let's have a look at some oracle cards now. So this is Life Soul Vision, which is my own deck. Let's see what wants to come through for Sagittarius. We have the guide and the gift, beautiful. Energy conversations. Spirit Wolf, certainty of trust, yes. Happy to see that for you. The Sun charged in light. Labyrinth of sweet surrender. Honesty at the edge of quiet. Some illusions definitely being shattered through the course of this month. You know, that awakening feeling of November is incredibly powerful. Okay, we have a couple of dragon oracles to really complement what we're feeling into in terms of the presence of these beautiful energies this month. Okay, you have air and fire. I love this for you. Especially as we work towards that full moon Gemini, of course, the air energy combining with the element of fire from your sign expands your creative energies. What else do we have finally for Sagittarius? Of course, we will cover these off more fully in the extended reading. We have emergence. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I wish you a beautiful month ahead and beginning of your solar returns. I hope you'll join me on the extended. And I'll see you again next time for our final soul story of the year. Bye for now.